And now we'll work on the twist control for the Flexi line connected to the left shin. Let's get started by grabbing the shin control, and we'll start to rotate that around. And as you can see, the connect curve right here at the top is just fine. It's moving exactly the way it should. Alright, so that saves us some time. Let's go ahead and set the control back to 0. And now we need to worry about the twist control for the connect curve that connects into the ankle. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with an exposed node. Let's go ahead and see if this is going to be the solution we need. So we'll go ahead and grab the exposed node that we've tied to our shin, and let's go ahead and clone that. So it's Control V. And I'll go ahead and make this a copy. And I'll tell you right now that we will not go ahead and rename this because there is a slight limitation that we'll run into that will cause this not to be the best solution. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at that. So once it's been cloned, we'll simply go ahead and Alt-A align this to our ankle. And you can see its display is overlapping another helper that has the same display. So what we'll do is just go ahead and change the display of this exposed node. So instead of an axis tripod, let's go ahead and work with box. That's much better, and we'll leave the size at 2. Alright, we'll now make sure to expose the ankle bone. Now remember, we have created a helper early on to clean up the orientation of this bone locally. If we were to go ahead and scroll down, you can see that the rotate values here are ideal. Alright, so let's go ahead and work on wiring this in. We're actually going to wire into the y-axis of this bone. If we were to go to our rotate gizmo, making sure it's set to gimbal, you can see that it's the y-axis we need to work with. Alright, so we'll grab our exposed node. Let's go ahead and right-click and choose wire parameters. That's going to be Object, Local Euler Y, and we'll tie that into our connect curves y-axis. There we go. So that's 0 Euler Y. Let's do a direct connection, and let's test this out. So we'll grab our FK ankle control and start to twist, and you'll notice that we're getting twist control, but eventually it'll start to flip, and that's due to a gimbal lock issue. But remember, we can go ahead and change that from the exposed node. So I'll just go ahead and undo back. We will go ahead and select the exposed node, and let's go ahead and change its axis order and the y-axis. So we'll just go ahead and work with the same axis order that we use for our ankle bone, which is ZXY. So now that Y is evaluated last, let's go ahead and take a look. If we grab the ankle control and start to twist, notice we get some very desirable twisting. Great. I'll go ahead and use transform to 0 to bring that back. Let's take a look at things in IK mode. So we'll go ahead and grab our IK control and start to twist. And notice everything seems to be working great. Now where's that limitation? Well, let's go ahead and again zero this control out. Let's start to move the knee swivel. You'll see that that's actually going to drive the entire Flexi line, simply because that Flexi line rig has been connected to our shin to follow its transforms. Alright, so that's why we need to come up with another solution. So we need to figure out a way to cancel out this knee swivel while still being able to twist in both IK and FK modes. So we can work with another expression. We'll need to work with a condition statement so we can switch between IK and FK. Let's go ahead and grab our exposed node, and let's go ahead and delete it. We no longer need that object. I'll make sure we're grabbing the correct object so we don't break the rig. Alright, so let's go ahead and just delete that exposed node. Let's go ahead and grab our connect curve, and let's head over to our motion panel. From there, we'll find our y-axis. You can see it has a connection here, but no longer is that the case because we've removed that exposed node it was tied to. So with the y-axis still selected, let's go ahead and assign our float expression controller and choose OK. Alright, so you can see we have some weird values here in the expression, and that's simply due to that object being removed. What we could always do is go ahead and set this back to 0 and choose evaluate. You'll notice nothing will happen. It will essentially revert that value back to 0. All right, beautiful. So now that we have the expression editor open, I'm going to move this to the side so we can figure out what axes we need to tie into our expression. So in IK mode, that's going to be the z-axis. And taking a look at the axis order, you can see that this is ideal. We're going to use the z-axis, and notice how clean that's going to work. Great. Let's go ahead and take a look at our FK control. We'll go ahead and grab that and start to twist that around. And even this control is going to work out wonderful. We'll need to tie in our x-axis. So I'll go ahead and right-click and use Transform to 0 to bring this back. All right, we're ready to create a few variables. So the first one is going to tie into our IKFK button. So let's go ahead and name that IKFK, as we've done before. Choose Create. And the next will be for our IK twist, which we know to be the z-axis of our IK control. So we'll name that IK underscore twist. Now we also need to worry about the IK knee to make sure that gets canceled out. So that will be the next variable we create. That's IK knee. And the last one will be for our FK twist. So let's go ahead and create that. FK twist. All right, we're now ready to start assigning our controllers to these variables. Now remember, we did hide a few of our FK systems. So that's going to make it a little bit difficult for us to find the control we need, this FK control here for the ankle. Just to take a closer look at that, if we were to go ahead and assign our controller, let's go ahead and expand the global node. And then from there, we'll go ahead and find the center of gravity. Here's the animation control for the pelvis. Let's go ahead and open that up. And we'll go ahead and expand the pelvis bone. Here's the helper for the left thigh. We'll need to expand that. All right, so we should be able to see the animation control, and as of right now, we can't. So here's what we'll do. We'll go to our Display tab. Let's choose Unhide by Name. We'll scroll up to the top, and we'll go ahead and find BNDRV Anim L Shin. Here it is. And we'll go ahead and unhide it. All right, now we'll see it in the list. Let's go ahead and expand the outside of that to get to the shin control. We'll expand the outside to get to our ankle control. There it is. We'll expand the inside of that to get to our twist axis, which we know to be the x-axis. All right, so let's choose OK. Now assigning the others will go by much faster. Let's go ahead and grab the knee and choose Assign to Controller. Let's scroll down until we find our animation controls for the IK leg. Here they are. So I'm just going to go ahead and expand the inside to get to Modified Object, Extra Controls. Here's the knee swivel. All right, let's go ahead and grab IK Twist. And it's tied to that same object. So now we just need to go ahead and find the transform, rotation, zero Euler, and remember it's the z-axis we need to use for this control. Great, so we just have one more to assign, and the IKFK button we know is attached to the center of gravity, so we'll expand the inside of that to get to Modify Object, Extra Controls, Custom Attributes, and there it is. The IK button, let's go ahead and choose OK. We're ready to create our expression. So again, that's going to be a condition statement we'll need to use. That's if, and then we'll add our open and close parentheses. Now within, that's going to be IKFK, so if that's equal to 1, or IK mode, we'll put our comma, and that's going to be IK twist, and then we need to make sure that this will cancel out the knee swivel. So it'll be as follows. We need to add our knee swivel, and we need to also use the degree to radians function to make sure that this works properly. So that's going to be lowercase d for deg, capital T for 2, capital R for rad. We'll go ahead and put our open and close parentheses, and within, we'll go ahead and put the name of our knee variable, which is IK underscore knee. Now outside of the parentheses here, we'll put another comma, and now we need to tell the expression what to do if we're not in IK mode. It needs to look at our FK twist. So that's going to be FK underscore twist. And considering the orientation of that object, Remember, as we saw before, we're going to need to flip the FK twist value for this to work properly. So I'm going to add the negative operation before FK twist, and we could always go ahead and concatenate that variable. So we'll go ahead and put that in parentheses. All right, beautiful. Let's go ahead and choose evaluate. Notice no errors, no warnings. So let's go ahead and close this out and test this out. So right now, if we were to grab our center of gravity, go to the modify panel, we're in IK mode. So that means is when we grab our control here, as we start to twist, notice we're controlling the Flexi line. Very nice. When we start to move our knee swivel, notice we're getting ideal control. It's being locked down at the base. All right, great. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happens in FK mode. So we'll go ahead and switch over to that. Let's go ahead and grab our control object and start to twist. Beautiful. Now you might notice that the helper here, our bone object, right there connected to our ankle is not twisting. Remember, sometimes that group is disconnected and we just need to reconnect it back to our twist control. That's not a problem at all. It's actually very simple to do. We'll go ahead and find the Flexi hidden layer for the shin. Let's go ahead and show that. Here's our group object. So with that selected, we'll go ahead and choose wire parameters, and we're wiring its y-axis, that's our Euler y, into our connect curve's y-axis. There we go. So once we have connected that, we'll go ahead and check everything. Now, since we've loaded the group in first, that's on our left side, so we need to use the center arrow to make sure that we connect into this properly. So we'll go ahead and choose connect, and let's test this out again. When we go ahead and grab our ankle control and start to twist, notice that group follows. Beautiful. Alrighty, well, I'll go ahead and hide the Flexi hidden layer now. Let's say we go back to IK mode and just take a look at that lower bone just to make sure that when we start to use the knee swivel, it's going to stay locked down, and it sure will. Very exciting stuff. All right, well, guess what? That's going to finish up the twist solution for the Flexi line tied to our shin. Now we need to do a little bit of cleanup work. As we've done before, we'll need to go ahead and make sure that we can very easily go in and grab our mid-bend control. We need to adjust our scale expressions, and we also need to make sure that things are stored in their layers. So let's go ahead and move on to the next lesson and take care of that.